Are we past 7:30? Yes, we are. All right. I'll call to order the Hatfield Borough Council regular meeting of March 6, 2022. Call to order.
President Ferguson.
Here.
Vice President Gerard.
Here.
Councilmember Fagan.
Here.
Councilmember Cresser.
Here.
Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Gerard.
Here.
Manager Snyder. Here. Borough Solicitor Harper.
Here.
All right, we'll do a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Stevens, you do our invitation?
Almighty God, thank you for the blessing of this day and this opportunity to serve our community. Guide us and give us wisdom in all that we do on His behalf. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda for today?
So moved.
I'll second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Gerard. Any questions or changes? All in favor? Approved. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from February 2nd, 2022, workshop and workshop meeting for February 16, 2022, regular meeting. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilor Fagan. Any question or changes to that, or any comments? All right, all in favor? It's approved. All right, public input. Anyone from the public, please rise, state your name and address, and reason for addressing council tonight.
I'm just here about this entertainment thing.
Which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay. All
I'm
right.
just here to observe.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome.
Well, thank you for coming, so.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4, announcements.
Borough is scheduled to meet Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022 at 8 a.m. here in council chambers. The next planning commission meeting is scheduled for April 4th, 2022 at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. The next borough council meetings are April 6th, 2022, the workshop meeting, and April 20th, 2022, the regular meeting, both at 7:30 p.m. here in council chambers. The Hatfield Museum Historical Society is scheduled to meet Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022.
If you're at the firehouse, you can just stop right in.
Yeah. At the Hatfield Volunteer Fire Company. Come on over after the tour to the Historical Society meeting. And the Montgomery County Borough Association reorganization meeting will be held March 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. If you are interested in attending that, just send me an email and I can register you or send you the link for that.
You'll be attending, so.
March 24th at 7, yes.
Okay. And Councilor Stevens, just to give you a heads up, the Hatfield Democratic Committee is going to schedule a visit to the Historical Museum.
Cool.
So, All right, any questions on the announcements? All right, item 5, public hearing for ordinance number 545, amending chapter 27 in the zoning code of ordinance, revising and restating the core commercial district regulations.
Would you like me to take over?
Yes, please.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, I'm Kate Harper, the Borough Solicitor. What I'm going to do is mark a couple of exhibits and explain the ordinance. Then we will take questions from Borough Council, and then we will take questions or statements from the public. While we're doing this, one at a time, because we do have court reporter Joan, who's over there taking down what we're saying. So, I can do it that way, and then I'll hand it back to you to moderate the discussion, if there is one during here. Okay, so, to get started, Jamie, do we have a number on this ordinance?
Yes. 545.
545?
Okay, so this is a hearing on ordinance number 545, which is basically a readoption of the core commercial zoning district with changes. So the first exhibit I have is B1, which is proof that we advertised this hearing in the newspaper. I'll give these exhibits to you before you leave, okay? Our second exhibit is B2, which Borough Council has seen, which is a red line version of the core commercial district, and that tells you what we're changing. We're reenacting most of it, of course, but because Borough Council's received requests regarding two things: outdoor eating at restaurants and outdoor entertainment, the proposed ordinance changes some things with regard to that. So basically what it does is it makes outdoor eating, as long as you're connected to a restaurant or a tavern, a by right option. However, if you want to have outdoor entertainment, then you're going to have a conditional use hearing. That would be hearing before Borough Council. Similar to a zoning hearing, but not the same. And Borough Council would make the decisions. So in response to questions, we also made some changes to it. Outdoor bars are not permitted without a conditional use hearing. So if you're a restaurant, you're serving people, and the bar is inside, that's not a problem. They can drink outside. It's just if you wanna have an outdoor bar, you have to come to Borough Council and tell them that, okay? In addition, we used to require a conditional use hearing just for eating outdoors. This ordinance would take that away. So you can just eat outdoors, it's just a matter of, what you're doing along with it. The ordinance also says that if you encroach on a public right of way, we have had restaurants in town that were on the sidewalk. You know, if it encroaches on a public right of way, if it has an outdoor bar, or if it has live entertainment, then you need a conditional use hearing. Otherwise, you don't. You must be associated with a tavern or a restaurant. Can't just start serving food outside from your house. Okay, this all has to be in the core commercial district. And if you have live music, you have to limit the live music not to exceed 11 p.m. And the sound of the live entertainment, if it's 70 decibels or higher at the nearest residential property, it has to be turned down or turned off. You know, at that point, you do that. So, we also permit open flames and heating devices. They used to be prohibited, but we're now allowing them in light of the fact that we're allowing outdoor dining year round. We're allowing these as long as the fire marshal approves. Those are the basic changes. So, I'll hand it back to you. You can ask for comments from Borough Council first or the public. Sometimes we prefer to take the public first. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I think I'll start with council first. Are there any questions from council?
I do have one question, relating to the, bar, the outdoor bar. Would we need to get any special approval from the state under the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board to allow that?
We would, the bar owner may have some restrictions with regard to that, okay? So, the license may have some restrictions. That wouldn't involve you. That would be a matter of, at the conditional use hearing, you could ask, do you have an appropriate liquor license for this?
Okay, so that's all encompassed in the license and progress to the PLCB.
Correct. They make those decisions. Same way they decided some historic taverns really have hotel licenses. How'd that happen? Well, they started out as inns with a bar. So those rules are a little bit archaic in many ways, but they're not the borough's rules. The borough doesn't have to deal with it.
I had a statement more than a question. So basically, when we talk about the conditional use hearing, that would, at that point, if someone had a change or had a request, let's say they wanted to have music past 11 o'clock, or they had a request for deviating from the decibel level, that, at that point, they would present it at a conditional use hearing to the council, is that correct?
In general, yes. Mostly a conditional use is supposed to be in accordance with the ordinance, but it is a hearing, you can have special conditions, like we'll let you go past 11 o'clock on Saturday nights, or we'll let you go past 11 o'clock one night a month, or something like that, you know, 4th of July, I don't know, something like that. I think you probably could do that by conditional use.
Okay.
I would only say with the decibel level, there has to be some measurable standard by which the police could issue a complaint, you know, or the neighbors could call in and a code officer could later, the code officer doesn't work here Saturday night. We had to have something measurable so that the code officer would be able to see that you had recorded it at, I don't know, 80 decibels, which is supposed to be damaging to your hearing on your property, you know, and they would have evidence. Otherwise, just going to court and saying it was really loud is probably not going to get a code violation confirmed.
Right. No, I think it's important to have that as well too, so, and I know there might be some concerns about, that being not loud enough, but there are other measures, barriers, things that can be put up to mitigate some of that, I think, so,
Right.
you know. But I think we can address that too when, you know, if that should come to question at some point, I think, so. The other question I had was when we talked about right of way, infringement upon a right of way, is that if it's permanent or if it's only temporary? Or both?
Either way,
Okay.
either way, and the place it normally comes up is a sidewalk in the summer.
Mhm.
And I was thinking of, the old firehouse
Mhm.
was once used as a restaurant, I don't think it is anymore.
What Crystal Rose?
Yes.
Took it over?
When Crystal Rose had it, it was a restaurant and the chairs and tables went out on the sidewalk. Well, technically, you own the sidewalk.
Mhm.
The public owns it, but you're the public's voice, so you'd have to give permission for that.
Okay.
But there are other boroughs, Conshohocken and Ambler, that actually close the road.
Right,
Of course,
right.
I think they may own the road, maybe not, but they sometimes close the road and let people put, little fences out in the street and put dinner out there, so.
New York
that
City
would
does the
also be
same
a-
thing, so.
Yeah, that would also be a right of way.
Yeah, well, that's why I was questioning, it, you know, if it's temporary or permanent, does it have to be a permanent structure to be a violation? Or if someone one day puts a table out there, you know, would that be considered infringing on the right of way as well? That's why I was asking about permanent or temporary.
I would say that that would be an infringement, even temporarily.
Okay,
Now, they may not get caught, but if
Right.
they did it often enough, they surely would.
right.
And, you know, the borough is so small and everybody lives so close, that surely somebody will notice that they can't walk down the sidewalk.
Yeah, okay.
In relation to that, how do you define a right of way? Would that be the sidewalk and also include the street, or would that be, the street be separate?
No, the right of way is the street and so many feet beyond it. The sidewalk's definitely public, even though private landowners have a responsibility to clear it from snow and everything, the sidewalk definitely belongs to the borough.
Any other questions from council before we turn it over to the public? No. All right. Any questions from the public?
Okay. Let me give you a little education on the.
Hold on for 1 second.
Sure.
It would be better if you stand, you don't
Okay.
have to, but it'd be
All right.
better.
Sure.
If you could state your name and your address so that a court reporter can take it down.
Sure. Robert Weimer, owner of Patrick's Sports Bar and Grill, 64 East Lincoln Avenue, Hatfield, PA. 1944, honestly. Okay, let me give a little education on the PLCB stuff. So, as far as your serving area, okay, that's what is granted by the LCD. So your serving area, like at our bar, our outside bar is a serving area. That's why we can put a bar out there and serve out there. If it wasn't a serving area, you wouldn't be able to put a bar out there. And you couldn't serve alcohol out there. You could serve food, but not alcohol. So everybody's required to have a certain area recorded within PLCB what their serving area is. Our serving area actually goes out into our parking lot. We don't use that unless we have big events. And we have a fence that goes along there for that when it happens. Which I don't see any time in the near future just using that because businesses like that. Years ago when I bought that place, we had big events there because we were the place, you know, and now we're not, so whatever the case may be. My issue is the outside bar thing. We've had an outside bar for the last 10 years. We've used our outside bar for the last 10 years. So it's a built bar outside, you know? So if I can't use the bar outside, then that's a waste of about $30,000 to $40,000 I put out for that, you know? And this was never an issue before about this, the outside bar thing. When we originally came in here for when we built this patio and all, this was never a issue at all. So, and I understand why you would like this, but so now, before I can even use my outside bar, I have to go before a conditional use hearing to be able to use the outside bar that I invested all this money into? I mean, we've never even had complaints about the outside bar being there by anybody. You know, a couple of people want to complain about the music. Now the 70 decibel thing, I gotta see what that actually comes out to. You know, I have a decibel reader, so I'm gonna have to see what it comes out, because if that comes out to a quiet thing, I mean, it's you know, we might have to visit that a little bit. And the distance, because my nearest neighbor, my property line is on my bar's on my property line for the most part. I've got apartments across the street from me. I have a house across the street on the other side. And she's never had one problem with anything we've done there. Never once. Never made a complaint, ever. You know? We've had very good neighbors, you know, and we try to do everything we can to respect the neighbors. Like keeping our place clean, you know, not having a bunch of garbage from you know, people leaving bottles and cans and all of this and cups outside. My employees clean this parking lot on a constant basis, you know? So we try to keep up with the rules and make it a good place for everybody to come. We've had the police there 10 times in 15 years. One major fight. That was it. And one guy who had a gun out in the parking lot, and they caught him up on Calvary Road. Other than that, our place has been a very, very good place. You know, we've tried to work with the town, even though with the inspector issues we've had, and you know, and that was raining. Not anybody didn't had any since raining. Everything's been great since that, actually. Your borough manager's amazingly great, and Mike was good too. You know, we just want to be able to do business. You know, and that's the bottom line. You know, the music always stops by 11. It's a guaranteed thing. They're not allowed to play after 11. They have to stop at 11 on the button. You know, Saturday nights is the only night we do any music outside. We're not going to do music any other time besides that outside, because people have to work. You know, and we don't want to interrupt that. So, and some people have to work on Saturday mornings. So we try to keep it to a Saturday night thing. You know, and it's classic rock. Nothing, you know, metal music or rap or anything like that. You know, we just got, you know, 80s and 90s classic rock. That's what it is. You know, sometimes older.
Sorry, sometimes what?
Sometimes older than that. You know, depending on the band. I try to stay away from that a little bit, that far back. But you know, we try to keep it a fun place for everybody to come. You know, and we close at 12 o'clock every night now. I don't want those people to come in after 12 o'clock. I don't want it. It's not good for anybody. It's not good for the town. People driving around drunk. It's just not good at all. You know, so that's what it's.
Appreciate it. Well, one thing you've always got to think about too is when we put ordinances in place, it's not just for you. Like you said, you've had very little problem, but if someone were to buy it or someone wants to open up another facility somewhere else,
Right.
we've got to think about those people that we don't have that long-term relationship with. So I think we had the same thing happen with the bee ordinance back a while, where you know this beekeeper was very diligent, but the next person may not be, and so that's something we always have to take into consideration. That you know it may not be you that would create a problem; it might be the next person. So
Right.
it's always something to think about when you institute ordinances.
Even with this situation with Todd across the street, okay, which has been a problem. All right, and it hasn't always been a problem. It's just been a problem this year and last year. The people that come out of there are so hammered when they come out. 11 people came to my place the last time we had a party there a couple months ago, and they were literally giving me a bunch of nonsense because we were closing at 12 o'clock, and they were hammered. This is a problem. This is a guy who's doesn't have a liquor license and he's doing this stuff. You know, he's running a bar out there. And it's fine if you're gonna throw parties up there and people will bring their own stuff, and you're just using the catering bar. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is they're parking my parking lot, they're hammered when they leave there, and then if they happen to come over, get over to my place when we are open, and they're hammered, they have one drink at my place, guess who's responsible? Me. I'm the guy who's gonna get sued, okay? And it's not even about getting sued, it's about responsibility when you're serving people alcohol. Easy and simple. And it's anybody who does it, you know? So it's just gotta be, everybody's gotta be smart about what they do. Alcohol is a drug. It is definitely a drug. Nobody can say it's not. So when you're serving to somebody, you have to have responsibility. And his bartender should have brand, you know? Easy and simple. If he's gonna do these parties out of there, make them have brand. Make sure they're not over-serving people. So they're not going out and killing people on the road. Or being drunk and falling down the steps because they have to come down the steps of this place, you know? Or walk across the street and get hit by a car. You know, it's responsibility, that's all. Responsible for that, for the money you're making.
Go ahead.
So I just wanna point out something, the old ordinance said that outdoor bars are not permitted. The new ordinance says are not permitted without conditional use approval. So actually, you can have an outdoor bar, but it should have conditional use approval. Mr. Weimer had conditional use approval for a while, it expired. He did have conditional use approval, but, it wasn't even permitted. So I don't know how you got permission to put an outdoor bar out there.
Well, we always had outdoor bar. When we started the little tiki bar, that I bought from a guy on 309, and it was this little, 6-foot tiki bar, and it just makes it easier, because then people don't have to walk inside and grab their beers. They can come in, and now they can sit down outside and enjoy the nice weather.
Okay, so the Borough Council could, if you wanted to, just permit outdoor bars, but the old ordinance prohibited them. The new ordinance goes halfway by saying they're permitted by, conditional use. I think the idea was there are a lot of restaurants around that don't have an outdoor bar, and they serve food and drinks from their indoor kitchen and their indoor bar, and they just bring them out. So an outdoor bar is a different thing. It wasn't permitted before, and now it's permitted by conditional use.
I mean, like Hatfield Township, there's no conditional use for an outside bar in Hatfield Township. The Pizza Pub has an outside bar, okay, with a bar out there, with liquor out there. They don't have to get conditional use. They are just allowed to have an outside bar because they have a liquor license and it's on their serving area. And that's why the township doesn't bother about it, because it's what the LCB has come in and deemed their serving area. So, I mean, I don't understand what the difference would be, to be honest with you. I don't understand what the difference would be if people were allowed to bring their drinks outside, or they were allowed to get served outside. As long as it's in the serving area, it's allowed by the PLCB. There's not really a difference, you know? It's not gonna, if there are people that are out of hand, they're gonna be out of hand, whether the bar's outside or the bar's inside, because you still have outside dining, and they're still allowed to drink outside. So why put in an ordinance about the outside bar when it's in somebody's serving area that they're allowed to serve alcohol? You know, it's just, it's an appeal for a business to be able to have an outside bar. You know, if they have a liquor license, obviously, you know. And Lansdale, no ordinance required for an outside bar, you know, and they do the right way thing, they close streets off too, you know. I'm not asking anybody to ever do that for our place, you know, we'll use our area that we have, that's why I spent the money on it, you know, to make it so we didn't have that happen. You know, and that outside bar, to be honest with you, during this pandemic, was our lifesaver. Because if we didn't have that outside bar outside, when you weren't allowed to be inside, we'd be out of business. So.
I mean, I think it's good input. I mean, from my perspective, I would rather keep the conditional use ordinance as part of that. I know it may be a little bit of pain for you to do that, but at least it kind of gives us an idea of what's going on, so we can answer any potential public questions that may come up about it. So, it sounds like you had one before, so it would just be going through the process, and I don't think anyone on council, correct me if I'm wrong, would have any issue with you, with when you put in the conditional use ordinance for it, so I think that would be my recommendation. I like the fact that we've made it less restrictive, and, you know, going forward, if we see that a lot of businesses start asking for this, then we can always revisit it later, so I think this is a good first step.
So the question is gonna be though, how long is it gonna be till I can use my ISL bar now? Because if they can go up the street to the pizza pub and use it now, like they're billing, and they can't use mine because I don't have conditional use for the outside bar, that's an issue. You know, that's really impeding on my way to make big money and to stay alive.
I have a suggestion. Since Mr. Learman had the use of his bar previously, could we consider him grandfathered in at this point where, for right now, he would not need to get the conditional approval, because he already had an established bar under, you know, whatever it was previously. However, going forward, anybody else who comes in then, from this point on, would then have to go through the conditional approval of the borough. Because that would satisfy, since he's already had, and there really haven't been any complaints from, you know, what I've heard, you know, from past history, then grandfather him in at this time. With the stipulation, if something should happen, then we're gonna have to revisit that and say, okay, this happened, so now we're gonna have to, you know, maybe look at putting a restriction on it, making it conditional again. Thoughts?
All right, so I see a couple issues. One thing we could do is not enforce
Selective
this
enforcement,
right away.
Right.
You know, we
To give
could
them
tell the
time to
code
get
officer,
it.
don't enforce it, give them time to apply and get conditional use approval. Normally a non-conforming use, something which is, I think, what you're kind of going towards, he was doing it before and it was lawful. I think it was not lawful before. And the reason I say that is the ordinance didn't permit outdoor bars. So he was doing it, but it wasn't like he's grandfathered because it wasn't lawful before. So, but we don't have to enforce the ordinance against him, you know, for 6 weeks or so, give him time to file and come in. I think the borough manager actually advised him to apply for his permit, so that if this passes tonight, he can come out tomorrow with what he's allowed to do. So I think that would be okay, you know. Enforcement is a selective matter, if you will. You don't have to charge somebody with every offense. Even if we suspect we know who the guy with the 7 cats are. You know, we don't actually have to charge him until somebody complains and we go out there, take the evidence and deal with it.
Right.
So we could wait on that, but I don't think as a legal matter he's grandfathered, only because the ordinance didn't permit outdoor bars before. Now he had conditional use, and here's the other thing. Conditional use is sort of like a zoning variance. So suppose you told us at one point you were thinking of selling the bar.
I'm still gonna sell the bar.
Okay, so the next guy comes in, and instead of playing rock and roll, he plays, I don't know, heavy metal. I guess I'm dating myself or something, but
You're not.
he plays something that is a lot louder and
Right.
more obtrusive to the neighbors. And his permission for his zoning goes with the property. So the new bar owner would be like, what? You let him play outdoor music, why can't I play outdoor music?
Right.
So that's a problem, so we have to make sure we document every step of the way, that what we're doing is right, unless you wanna say outdoor bars are okay. And I'm not sure you wanna do that.
I mean, they would still have to apply, they would still have to abide by the decimal rating. Okay, that's still gonna be the thing, no matter what music they play, they're still gonna have to be applied. Telling people what music they can play is gonna, I think, could become into a real legal issue.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone
I don't think
suggested
anyone is getting that part of it, okay? But My only, like I had said at the last time that we were here about this, my only reason for being able to do this outside meeting, okay, is I have to have something different than everybody else has, okay? So, and it's even the outside bar thing. You guys, I don't know if you realize how many clubs are around this area, okay? The clubs, they brutalize me. The cheap drinks, they stole majority of all my people, okay? They come to my place with these cheap drinks. They have an outside bar over at the Hatfield Legion. No requirements for that outside bar. They built the outside bar, and it's running. And it's been running for years. And they even had it closed in. You're not supposed to have your outside closed in completely without some kind of opening. You have smoking out there. If you don't have smoking, it can be closed in. But, you know, these are the things that we just gotta be careful. We don't want to stop businesses from wanting to come here. You know, this is a great little town. It really is. There's not a lot of problems here. Really nice people live here. We just don't want to restrict businesses from wanting to come do business in this town, because that hurts everybody. Because the more businesses that are here, the more people come here. The more people that come here, the more they spend money. It's more tax money. That's more money for everybody to survive, to feed their families, whatever the case may be. You know? Why, and I don't understand why you guys want to put restriction on outside bars, because like I said, it's no different than my waitresses, my bartenders rather, because we don't have waitresses, my bartenders coming outside and serving somebody outside. That's the same as an outside bar. It's no different, okay? We're still gonna have our speakers outside from inside, even though I didn't have music in the parking lot. I'm still gonna have my music, okay, it plays off my speakers, which isn't real loud at all. You probably can't hear it past the parking lot, for the most part, okay, because I don't let them turn it up, because I don't want to blow the speakers up to begin with. So, this is my issue with this whole thing. Why, it's an outside bar already. If you're serving drinks outside, that's the same as an outside bar. So if you're gonna allow outside dining outside, that's the same as having a bar outside. For the most part, if there's alcohol. And if I have a liquor license, I have alcohol. And I'm not gonna make everybody drink inside, and if you have drinks, you can't come outside, because then guess what? They're gonna go to the pizza bar. They're gonna go to the Hatfield. They're gonna go somewhere else. They're not gonna come to Hattrick's Sports Bar and Grill. Okay? And I'm going to sell the place eventually. When it happens, it happens. I don't know. And I might keep it for another year. Who knows? We'll see. But restricting bars outside is, like I said, people walk outside with their drinks. The bartenders serve drinks outside. It's the same as having a bar outside. It's no different. It's not going to be any different, because they're still going to be outside talking. They're still going to be outside having a good time, and they're still going to be outside listening to the music that comes off the speakers. So why is that restriction about the outside bars? If it's in their PLCB required serving area, why restrict it? It's just, it makes people say, you know what? Why am I going to put a business in that area when this is the kind of stuff I have to deal with? You know, when you don't have to deal with it everywhere else. That's the thing. You know, if it's in the serving area, it should not be a special restriction to have your bar outside, as long as it's in your serving area. That is required by the LCB. You know, and the LCB has its own court. They don't go to Bucks County Court. They don't go to Montgomery County Court. When you do something in violation of the LCB, you go to their court in Norristown, in Plymouth Meeting. They have their own judges, everything. So we've been in. That's why when I came to Mike originally about this stuff with the outside music, okay? And it wasn't just to the outside music, actually. Actually, it was the speakers outside. Because when that kid got killed up on 309 by Sarah Gerstein, okay? Mothers Against Drink Driving went and called the LCB against me for this bar here and my bar in Telford. Same exact night, amazingly. The music was too loud. Because that's the only thing they could go after me for. So I took my neighbors with me for both places. And we went to the court, my neighbors told the court, nope, never had a problem with it. If we have a problem with it, we call him up, he turns the music down, every time, which is the truth. You know what they did? They still fined $2,000 for each place. Because that's what they do, because that's their own court system. So, these are the things that the bar owners have to deal with, you know, on a constant basis. I used to be the Tavern Association president for this, Montgomery and Bucks County. The Tavern Association president for Bucks and Montgomery County for 4 years, okay? And, gentleman who owns the Maine was the president before that, in these two counties. But, so, and I've done a lot of work in Harrisburg, being through that association. So, you know, let's just not do things to try to make business not down there. You know, I think it's bad for the town. You know, it's bad for any town. You know, there are certain things you have to do, like building codes and all that stuff. I get that. And we want to respect our neighbors. But we don't want to do things that are going to make people say, you know what, why would I put my business in that town? You know, it's just, it makes people not want to be here. And that's not good, you know? It's really not, it's not good for any of us, in a whole.
Well, I like the idea of delaying enforcement, and giving Mr. Weinberg the opportunity to move forward tomorrow if he likes to, and get his application submitted.
So Manager Snyder, if he were to put his application for conditional use in tomorrow, how long do we estimate it would take, to get that approved?
We get 60 days to
Okay.
hold a hearing, and it takes 2 weeks to advertise it. So if you put it in tomorrow, you could probably do it at your regular meeting in April.
Okay.
You would put it on for advertisement, authorizing advertisement at the April sixth meeting, on for consideration or a hearing at the April 20th meeting.
Okay.
I actually prepared this for, Mr. Weimer was able, this ordinance passed tonight, and Mr. Weimer was able to pick up this permit tomorrow. I actually left this on Bob's desk, which is the conditional use application, along with the fee schedule. So I can hand that to Mr. Weimer tonight, as long as the ordinance passes as is, and he can fill that out and hand it back into the code department tomorrow morning. He will be in at 8 a.m.
Okay.
I mean, I guess my real question would be, what would be the conditional use for me having a bar outside?
Is the authorization to have the bar outside?
No, I understand that. I understand
A
that.
conditional use is a permitted use, but it's one that Borough Council wants to take a second look at to see if there are any special conditions. The reason is that the borough, unlike some places in the township, has residences all around your bar. They have residences close by. And so they have to advertise a conditional use and say that you wanna have live entertainment outside and you wanna have a bar serving liquor outside, so that your neighbors know, so that they're not surprised. And normally, you'll get it with conditions. Like, and if you offer a condition, like you say, look, I promise I'll only do live music Saturdays, they'll probably say, hold you to that, okay, only Saturdays, or something like
Right,
that.
I can understand the damn thing, without a doubt. We've had the bar outside now for 10 years.
Illegally.
Illegally.
No, not really, because when we put that patio in there, we had a bar out there when Randy was there, and he knew the bar was out there, and so did Mike. And that bar that's built out there now, has been out there for 4 years. So, you guys knew the bar was out there, it's not like I hid the bar, or I put it away, you know? It's been there for 10 years outside, there's been a bar outside. So, you know, the entertainment thing, I completely understand. I know where you're coming from. Entertainment outside is just, you gotta be careful with it. You don't want to make everybody mad in town. I have no problem with that. Like I said, I have to see what the 70 decimal thing is from the property lines, and walk out and see where it goes to. It's gonna be a little hard enough with the music there, but, you know.
I would just say, one night when you weren't here, we did have a resident come in and complain about noise.
Yeah, it was a lady from Vine Street. She
Oh,
called me,
God.
there was a lady who called me from Vine Street.
I think think it was a different person that came, for what Kate was referring to.
That was the husband of the lady that.
Oh, the husband, oh.
Yeah.
I
okay.
believe there.
Yeah, yeah. I think to Kate's point earlier, she said, the difference between the township or Lansdale or anything else is we're very compact here. So, even when you're playing music at 70 decibels, I'll probably hear it on my property, and I'm, quarter mile away. So, and it's not bad, but it's just because we are such a small, properties are so small here and so close, I think that makes a difference, so. And I think, like you said, the conditional use, we're just asking to do that. And again, it's not because of your situation specifically, but it's the next person that comes out, that does it, that says, hey, I wanna put a bar right on the street, next to Franconia Auto, right next to all these houses. And if we don't require you to do it, to have a conditional use to get approval for it, to make sure the residents have some say-so, then the next person says, well, hey, you didn't do it for them, you can't do it for me either. So it's more than just, thinking about your property and your situation, it's thinking about all the other situations that come as well. So, and I don't think it's restricting business in the borough, I think it's just being responsible, because we are a small knit community and a very small, small community with properties so close together. So I think we have to go a little bit above and beyond in that regard. So I hope it's not restricting business, and like I said, if it is, and we see business owners coming in asking for this, and they can show us that it's hindering business, then we can reconsider it later. Nothing that we're doing is permanent that can't be changed later. Would be my thought. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but.
I'm not gonna ever be in a solid situation. I'm not,
Well, realize the conditional use that we would approve for you carries on to the next person as well, right?
I
For that time period.
I understand. And then believe me, I don't want somebody to buy this place and turn out to be somebody who wasn't like me.
Mhm.
That's the last thing I want. Especially because it's in the town that I've been in for 15 years. And because it's the place, the business that I've built, for 15 years of my life. So, that's all.
You wanna see if there's any more public comment?
I was about to ask, yes, is there any other public input? If not, we'll close this to the public input. If there's no other questions from council, we'll go ahead and close it.
Okay, then for the public's benefit, it's on the agenda later for an action item. So the Borough Council can vote tonight to pass this, or not, but they can vote tonight to pass it, okay? And I think we can dismiss the court reporter. You don't think there's anything else that we're gonna need her for tonight?
No,
Okay, thank you, Jen.
we'll let her get home to her family.
There you go. Thanks.
Alright, let's go on to item number 6, new business discussions, advertising in the 2022 Roadway Resurfacing project.
So this is the advertising for the 2022 roadway resurfacing project. This is just an administrative action that's needed by Borough Council. So we can place the ad in the newspaper and then have the pre-bid meeting and the bid opening in mid-May. That is on for consideration this evening as an action item.
Any questions on that? Alright, item number 7, old business, resolution 2022-04, Hatfield Memorial Day Parade Road closure.
As we spoke in the workshop meeting, this is the resolution to close certain roads in the borough. This resolution is needed to go along with the PennDOT special events permit application that we fill out, so the Legion can hold the Memorial Day Parade in town. That is on for consideration this evening as an action item.
Any questions on that? Alright, item B, retain a special consortium for the council to negotiate the Comcast franchise renewal agreement.
As we spoke in the workshop meeting, this is just to retain special counsel or the Lohan the Cohen Law Group, to negotiate the Comcast franchise renewal on behalf of Hatfield Borough. I just also wanted to remind you that, if Hatfield Borough joins in, we will be receiving the 25% discount, which brings our cost down to, $5,925. Montgomery County Consortium of Communities has also authorized a $1,000 subsidy, so that would drop our price down to $4,925 if we wanted to engage the Cohen Law Group, as well as other municipalities in the county. This is on for consideration this evening to authorize myself as the borough manager to sign the letter of engagement with the Cohen Law Group. This letter just engages their services. We will then have a time to meet with Cohen Law Group themselves, as well as Comcast, to negotiate the specifics of our agreement.
And that will be negotiated with each individual municipality or all together?
Yes, how it works with Verizon, we actually, each individual municipality set up appointments, and we went and kind of filled out a survey of what we want, what we currently have, what we're not willing to get rid of, and, I remember myself and previous manager Michael DeFinis went and met with Cohen, as well as a Verizon representative. So I'm not sure if Comcast works the same way, but I know each individual municipality will get their chance to negotiate things that are special to them, such as us owning our own electric company and having poles, and, you know, some people have peg channels like we do, some do not. So we'll get our own, time to be able to negotiate that as part of our agreement.
Okay.
There will be some general agreement across the board for all the municipalities, but there'll be specifics just for us, for the borough, as well as other municipalities engaging in the agreement.
Jamie, quick question. When does our current agreement with Comcast, the current one, end?
2023.
I'm assuming Steve will put together a list of anything that he thinks are specific for our electrical use on poles.
Yeah, yeah, we had started kind of like a checklist. I've also received stuff from Solicitor Harper, so we kind of have at least a ground to work from. We're also comparing what we've got with our Verizon agreement as well, to make sure we get those same things with Comcast.
Okay.
Things like free internet,
Mm-hmm.
Stuff
Yeah, we're
like
talking
that.
about that, yeah, yeah.
so,
Maybe having some more free internet zones.
right,
Go on
if we
the
can
road.
get that, that would be good.
Mhm. All right, any questions on that? All right, item 8, action items, where the fun begins tonight. So, first action, can I get a motion to consider ordinance number 545, amending chapter 27, zoning in the Code of Ordinance, revising and reinstating the core commercial district regulations to permit outdoor dining with live entertainment by conditional use.
I move to adopt ordinance 545.
I'll second.
I got a, sorry, just, I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, a second by Counselor Gerard. Any questions? All in
Ask
favor?
for public comment, any more public
Any more
comment?
public comment? Thank you for that, Mr. Harper. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Item B, motion to consider resolution 2022-04, authorizing the closure of certain borough roads for the Hatfield American Legion Memorial Day Parade.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, a second from Counselor Cressler. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, motion to consider retaining the Cohen Law Group to represent the Borough of Hatfield to negotiate the Comcast franchise agreement and authorize Borough Manager Jamie E. Snyder to sign the engagement letter.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, a second from Counselor Cressler. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item D, motion to consider advertising the 2022 Borough of Hatfield Roadway Resurfacing Project.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I got a motion from Counselor Gerard, a second from Counselor Fagan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, motion to approve payment of the bills.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, a second from Counselor Gerard. Any questions?
Just like to make one comment real quick. This works out real well with what you did with highlighting the larger bills. And, you know, it's still in alphabetical order, at least we can see right off the bat, you know, the major things.
Okay. I'll give that feedback to Diane. Thought that was a good compromise.
Yeah.
To go to, yeah.
No, I think it's good, yeah. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn and have an executive session?
We do have an executive session this evening to discuss, property and litigation.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All right, I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, a second from Counselor Kressler. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right, close the regular meeting. Thank you for everyone who came.